conquer and we're going to take some. Is that understood? Yes, sir. That's what we're going to do, sweetheart. We are going to go and get some. All right, people, on the ready line. Are you me? Yeah! Are you me? Yeah! What are you?
Families raising children with disabilities face a variety of challenges and complexities in financial planning. Developing the right strategies now can ensure that loved ones have the assistance they will need in every aspect of their life. EP's annual financial planning issue offers practical advice and valuable resources to help overcome these challenges. To read more, sign up for free today at www.epmagazine.com.
Oscar Mike Radio is a proud podcast partner of REITs Across America Radio, heard every Thursday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. They're also big supporters of the nonprofit I Got Your Six, Two Lives at Once. And with every REIT you sponsor through Oscar Mike Radio, $5 goes back to this great organization dedicated to making a difference in the lives of veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders battling PTSD. Two Lives at Once pairs these brave men and women together with dogs rescued from kill shelters. In this way, two lives are saved at the same time by saving each other. Donate now. Go to REITsAcrossAmerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio to help. That's REITsAcrossAmerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio.
I remember a time when I was in a not so good place, and these games and these activities and being able to come and have the camaraderie that we have here, it makes me feel like I'm not alone. There are people here that have been through what I've been through. It makes me feel like I don't know, I'm part of something great.
Just let yourself go. Give it a try.
Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. Happy New Year. So we're back. It is 1225. Doesn't quite roll off the tongue, but the fact of the matter is this is the first show, podcast, episode for 2025 for Oscar Mike Radio. I have returning guest Ben Monette, U.S. Army Green Beret, recovery specialist, business owner, and community specialist. Ben, welcome back. Thank you so much for kind of like ending, beginning things all at the same time. This is going to be a great show. Thank you.
Yeah, Travis, thank you very much, and Happy New Year to you. It's going to be a big 2025, so I'm looking forward to that.
I like the way you think. Just go big, go home, positive. I love it.
Yeah.
So for those of you who, watch Oscar Mike radio regularly or listen, you'll know that Ben has come on 3 times previously and talked about his story, what he's done in recovery with Treehouse Recovery, what he's done with Resilience Recon Consulting, and now with Team Machine. We're going to talk about that. And again, thank you, Rico Player from Parade Deck. If you're a veteran content creator or podcaster, you want to check that out. I had the link in the show post. But it was just more. I looked at Ben and I'm like, wait a minute, I cannot do this in 40 minutes to an hour. I've got to do more of this. And maybe that's the thing for 2025, Ben. More is definitely more. Less is never
Always.
more. Always,
Absolutely.
always. More ammo. Less ammo is never more, right, Ben?
That's true. Very true.
Less MREs is never more. I'm just saying, less fuel is never. Anyway, slow down. So I'm getting excited here. Again, the theme for the first three shows, in some form or fashion, if you listen, Ben talks about the aspect of community, family, a tribe. It might not be family by blood, but people that, will hold you accountable, will prop you up when you're falling down, pick you up, but also like, hey, you crossed the finish line, that goal or objective. Good job. And you really got into that a whole lot over the course of our talk. But now you want to talk to me about Team Machine with Nick Lavery and how that all came together, because that in and of itself is a community, virtual and physical. So no more ado. Let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
Tell me about Team Machine, my man.
Oh man, where do I start? Well, let me talk about Nick,
Okay.
and the type of individual he is, and how I kind of came across, how I met him, and what he's endured. He has endured quite a bit. And he wrote a book, Objective Secure, phenomenal book, illustrates his hardships, what he's overcome. But Nick served at 5th Special Forces Group with me. I met him, let's see, maybe like 2016, 2017. He's the first above the knee amputee to return back to combat.
So I've seen his picture. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He is a massive individual, phenomenal individual, but massive nonetheless. And what he had to overcome, from Walter Reed, to getting back to walking, to getting back to being operational, to passing combat dive school, were just monumental achievements. And he illustrates all this in his book, Objective Secure. Great book. I read it. But he created Precision Components about 4 years ago. And he kind of started where I'm at now. He started, talking about his story, how he had to overcome many, many different obstacles that I had to overcome, but obstacles nonetheless. And started doing podcasts, started doing speaking engagements, keynote speaking events. And man, he just took off. And he is the type of leader that he took off and he's like, let me bring my tribe with me. Let me identify individuals that have overcome different obstacles and are doing the right thing and want to help. And let me bring them with me. And that's what he's done with me. So what Nick created, as he continued to become more popular and more, his story became to attract more organizations and more individuals and changed many, many different lives. He created what is now called the Forge. And the Forge is a virtual community. And when I looked at it first, I was like, well, community is kind of like the interpersonal communicate, like connection. And I started really looking at it and understanding that we have to adapt in our society nowadays. Our society is very technologically driven. We utilize it, and oftentimes we utilize technology, social media, for the wrong reasons. But if we use it for the right reasons, it can be very powerful. And that's what Nick's done with the Forge. And the Forge encompasses everything, right? And I know in part 3, I talked about being selective with your community. If you're not getting what you need out of that community, then go find yourself another community. And what the Forge is it's growing, but I think about 15 subject matter experts in various different fields. There is, fitness coaches. There are, marriage coaches. There are financial coaches. There are nurse practitioners focusing on, breathing techniques to utilize your parasympathetic nervous system into sympathetic nervous system. You have pharmacists functional pharmacists on there. You have Nick on there. You have myself as the mental health and recovery subject matter expert. So there's really, once you get into the Forge and become a member, all these member individuals are at your fingertips. We are here as a group to help you. So if you want to talk to Nick about how he's overcome so many of these obstacles, post in a thread and he will respond. If you want to talk to the pharmacist about, hey, I want to optimize my, my physical well-being or my mental well-being. How do I do that? My doctor's has me on a laundry list of, prescriptions. What do I do? If you're struggling in the recovery or the mental health, you'll reach out to me. So all these different individuals are there to help. And what Nick has fostered is something very, very different. Is he understands that he is a one-man show. And although one man can do a lot, and he's done a lot, he can't do nearly as much as his tribe with him, right? And so Nick has continued to bring on individuals onto the Forge at various different aspects to enhance someone's life. And I've seen it, impact many different lives. And that's just one component of what Nick's doing. And I'll go into it a little bit more, but the new year, you have all these goals for 2025, but maybe you're stuck. Maybe you don't know how to get to the end state, right? Hop on the Forge. There's so many people there willing to help. There's individuals that will take the time to really personally get to know you and connect with you and help you. And that right there is just an environment that Nick has fostered. That's something powerful, very, very powerful.
When I think the Forge, I think of the classic blacksmith's forge where the piece of metal is put into the fire, heat's applied, and then it's shaped into something that's useful or beautiful or both. And it seems like looking at, the site and reading about what the Forge is and Precision Components is, you come there as the piece of metal and say, hey, I'm trying to become whatever. And then you have not just one blacksmith, you have, a lot of them that are tempering you and helping you get there. Did you find that to be the case?
Oh, absolutely. Going in there and looking at one person's page, right? One subject matter expert's page. Like, I'm interested in this. How can I improve my physical fitness, right? And then you start going down, you start learning about that. Well, that bleeds over into mental health. That works into, the functional side of medicine. They're so related that having all these blacksmiths, as you say, together, not just to forge one specialty, but just to forge a masterpiece, and that masterpiece is you, the participant or the member of the Forge, is amazing. And that product, if you're committed and willing to put in the effort that these subject matter experts suggest, then that product that will become you is going to be that polished, that product that's beautiful, that's useful, that's valuable.
You joined this community. You served with Nick. Let's go back just a little bit. What was that like, serving with Nick and then seeing him go through these challenges personally?
Yeah. So he experienced these challenges prior to me meeting him. So when I met him, he was already operational back, accomplished something that no one else has accomplished. But meeting him, very humble, individual, very down to earth, knows the importance of all these different components of your life. And he was one of the first individuals that I called when I returned back from treatment. And I said, hey, this is where I'm at right now. This is, I'm transitioning. This is what I envision, and this is how I feel I can help. He's like, say no more. He's like, I love that. That's I want a part of that. I want the mental health component of the Forge, because he understands the valuable of having those many different blacksmiths. Because one person you can be well-rounded in a lot of different components of mental health or life. But you can't be that specific. You can't hone in specifically on those certain things. So he understands the limitless potential as a team. He understands that if he brings in a team that of people that are like-minded who understand his vision, that he is going to succeed as his team succeeds. And I know in episode 3 we talked about different types of leadership a little bit, and there's some leaders that believe that I'm a leader and you're my subordinates and I make the final decision. And then there's other leaders that take a collective approach to it and understand how powerful a team can be. That's Nick, and that's what Precision Components stands for. And Nick's not stopping there. In December of last year, he launched the Precision Components, the other side of the Forge. So the Forge is a individually centered community, right? I get on the Forge, I seek out help, and I message certain different subject matter experts. Now on the other side is, now these corporations can see the power of a team within the Forge, or sorry, within the subject matter experts. And if a corporation's like, hey, I want some mental health, but I also want some physical fitness. I want some, functional medicine. I want all 3 of these to work with my organization to better enhance or enhance productivity within this organization. Nick now offers that too. So there's 2 different sides of how he's approaching it. It would be almost like the consumer to consumer, right? Subject matter, very personal level. And then there's going to be like some seminars where we can come in and teach a group of individuals or employees, how to improve and how to enhance their not just professional life, but also personal life as well.
What's been your experience being a part of the Forge, working with Nick in a civilian, setting? You're not in the military anymore, and maybe you were the same rank, or maybe it didn't matter, but
yeah,
it always matters, but but now you're in a civilian situation and setting. It's not the same, it's not different, but it is.
Yeah, different but same, right? There's some commonalities, right? He understands what I've gone through. He understands what I'm capable of. He understands my story. So on that aspect, it's the same, right? And we similar ranks, right? Both warrant officers, and but on the civilian side, that side of it, he pushes me. He understands, and he pushes every subject matter expert to bring knowledge, to always to further understand your craft, to always continue to grow within yourself, which in turn enables you to help other people. Being a part of the Forge and being able to go into different subject matter experts forums, participate, add value, disagree with other people on the Forge respectfully, obviously, right? But not everyone, you're always not going to agree on certain things. And those healthy conversations provide solutions for other people. So what he promotes is each person on there going into other people's pages and adding value or asking questions. So I think that has connected. I never really felt that you could really connect very strongly, through social media or through a virtual platform, but you can. Words are powerful, and being able to be a part of someone's journey, within, from them being across the country or, in another country, is being able to connect with them, being able to help them. And then most importantly, I learn from each and every interaction that I have with these individuals, whether or not it's a subject matter expert or a member of the Forge. I learn from them, and I value that. And that's something very special to me.
Let's go back to the corporate side. Are you
Yeah.
are you saying that corporations can now look at people in the Forge and draw on that experience to further their affinity programs, or to hire veterans, or to create products and services that are centered on veterans? What's the specific goal for corporate involvement in what Nick's doing?
Yeah, it's to add a service, add
Yeah.
a service for these corporations to enhance at whatever level they're looking to. We've done, Nick's done many different speaking engagements, and I've done 3 with Nick speaking engagements. Mine's focusing on the mental health aspect of it, but providing that resource, just saying, hey, listen, this is what we provide. This is a list of different services, and if you want a group package, then bring us out there, and we'll sit and do a seminar, a workshop with a group of individuals. The speaking engagements are amazing. If you get a chance, go to a speaking engagement by the Precision Components. You'll hear Nick's story, if Nick is there, and that's very, very impactful. But what you'll see is the passion, the caring, the determination that each and every one of us have, that we want to promote change. We want to work on things that we all need to work on. And the mental health aspect of it is everywhere. And I'm breaking the stigma. One stick at a time, that I'm breaking the stigma that it's okay not to be okay. Right? It's okay to sit there and ask for help. It's okay to say, I don't understand. And once you get past that stigma, man, that's when growth happens. That's when change happens. And it's just, I love it. I'm fired up just now talking about it, just because it's so, just watching people and being a part of something bigger than yourself. We all understand it if you're a veteran. And I would argue that you understand it if you work in the corporate world. But now being a part of something now and change is very meaningful.
I did want to ask, based on that, do you have non-veterans, non-active duty as part of the Forge?
Yes. So we do have a group of subject matter experts that are prior military or past military, prior military. But also you have, healthcare professionals that have not served, but understand the value and understand an individual. And you don't have to be a veteran to be a member of the Forge. You can join and reap the benefits, right? And that's something that, session 1 or episode 1, we talked about, episode 2, about, the veterans building those relationships with, civilians in the civilian sector, because guess what? When you get out, you are a civilian. And although you have served our country in an amazing capacity, Now you are a civilian, and you need to learn how to build bonds with other individuals that may or may not have served.
That's important to me because, again, we talked about this, that some veterans, won't warm up to a civilian care provider or even a professional entity because they're not veterans. And you talked about, hey, you've got to come in with an open mind. And I would agree with that. I found that, I believe that the next phase of truly veterans advocacy is engaging with civilians, the people that we swore to defend and protect, and bringing them into the veteran experience so they can advocate for us in a more effective way. So I just was very curious about that. You join the Forge, you participate, and I think it's this theme I've heard before where you can go faster alone but further together, and you all are moving together, right? As you go into 2025, because it's literally like day 2 of 2025.
Yeah.
You've come a long way personally, professionally in the last couple of months, last year, right? How are you taking what you've learned, personally through Treehouse Recovery, professionally in building your own business with Recon Consulting and Resilience Consulting, Resilience Recon Consulting. Wow, we'll get that right. and how do you bring those now into the Forge to really scale up what you've done or doing?
Yeah. I think what the scaling up would be is now providing it to individuals or corporations, right? And providing that package of hey, this is what I was, this is what I accomplished, this is the things that I've learned from my failures. How can I help? How can I provide some insight to help someone else? And I think this is just the beginning. 2025 is going to be, and I love the fact that you said, we can sprint, but it's a marathon, and the marathon is going to be accomplished by a team, right? And bringing the right team, finding the right community within yourself, and working together towards a common objective is I'm not going to say the only, because the only is a definite word, but only way to success, right? And sustained success, right? So scaling up would be, for me, is looking at, continuing to do some more speaking engagements, continuing to get, my story out there and to be vulnerable so I can encourage others to stand up and say, hey, listen, I need some help, or I want to work on something with myself so I can be a better person. But that's not just going to stop there. Being a better person will make you a better employee, a better father, mother, son, daughter, in all aspects of your life. And there's never one, right? One size shoe doesn't fit all. There's not going to be one thing that it's going to be like, well, if you do that, everything else is going to be better. Not realistic, not going to happen. But I guarantee if you start doing small things that others have done or others have learned to do to better themselves, then you will in turn be better yourself. And that is humbling, learning from others, saying, I'm not, I do this many, many times, is saying, hey, I don't know everything. I'm going to learn from the people who've been doing it longer than I have. And if you can humble yourself and look through that lens, you're going to A, learn more, and B, you're just going to be a better, more well-rounded individual, and you're going to be happier. And at the end of the day, happiness is a choice. And it takes effort, and it takes determination, and it takes change.
Happiness is a choice. Ooh. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, come on, Ben. I mean, in the military, I will say this, in the military, in the Marine Corps, the only time I saw our first sergeant, the battery gunny and the brass, the lieutenants and captain get worried about us is when we quit complaining, when it got really quiet. That's the only time they really like, hey, what's going on here? And we were all uniformly choose to be like, miserable. We were just, that's the way it was. But you're saying I had a choice then in my life to be like, hey, even though it's 125 degrees outside and I'm drinking a gallon of water an hour, I can be happy about this. That still doesn't compute in my little, Lance
Yeah.
Corporal mind.
Remember episode 2 when I said perception shifting?
Perception, yes, you did.
Yeah. So if you can change and you can say find some positive. There's always some positive. It may be out of the box
Ben, I
thinking.
got it. I got it right now. The beatings will continue until morale improves. If you're just getting beat down and you just get happy, that's perceptive, that right? Isn't that what that is? Because I heard that one a lot.
That's true.
I'm
That
just
is very
saying.
true. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that is true. But you know what the fun thing is when you're getting beat down like that and you start laughing and you start enjoying yourself, the superiors are like, oh well, what do I do now? Like I thought they were miserable. I was supposed to make them miserable, but they're happy. So it's like kind of like a 2 punch, like giving it back to the man type deal.
Okay, I'll remember that. I remember that. You're part of the Forge. Has anyone in the Forge, I'm not asking you to, betray any trust or confidence, but has anyone ever reached out to you in the Forge and said, Ben, I need help. What can you tell me about my situation? And what was that like?
They have.
Oh yeah?
They have often. And quickly, if it's in a thread, then we'll go into a private message, and we'll talk through it. And if it's helping someone get treatment, or is it helping someone, talk through their problems, being heard, I'm there. And if it's not moving, if texting or messaging is not really providing that value, then let's hop on a call. Let's talk, let's get closer to the face-to-face, virtual, video chats. You still can have that a little bit more intimacy than a email or a message, right? So there's different levels, and when they do, it's okay. What do I need? What do you need from me? How can I help? And if it's just talking through some problems and seeing an outside perspective of things, I love to do that, right? If it's, hey, I have a loved one or I need help, I don't know where to begin, right? I need help with my mental health. I don't know where to begin. Okay, great. Let's start. Here's the resources. Let's talk about it. Let's find a solution, and then let's execute, right? Let's do that. So yeah, there have been times, and we promote that. We promote those, threads are great for the community aspect, but if there needs to be some more personal information divulged to really drive home a point or to communicate what's really going on, direct message and video call or whatnot. But that's the way, kind of how I approach things is hey, if it's too personal to talk within a community, you have me one-on-one, and let's find a solution there.
So this isn't just like talk, like there's real work going on, any time of the day, regardless of the situation, there's someone there to pick up the virtual telephone or get on a chat and say, what's going on, dude? I'm here for you.
Yeah, and maybe not at 3 o'clock in the morning because I'll be sleeping. But
Okay.
I do check every morning, and I have alerts that's like, hey, got a message, and I respond as quickly as I can, and that's throughout the Forge. Is each member will respond as quickly as they can and provide as much help as they can at that capacity. And if that person needs more help, then guess what? We're going to find them that help. And that's the philosophy that Nick has created.
Well, it's a philosophy and it's a culture, but in a way, we talked about this, where if you're coming out of addiction or a PTSD, PTS type of mindset, and you're trying to restart your life, it's taking what you've learned and been through and helping somebody else. I don't want to assume things, assumption's the mother of all F-ups, as we know, but I have to think that this is not just something you do. This is part of your continual healing.
Yeah, absolutely. Each time that I'm able to talk and work through, or sorry, work with an individual, it helps me, and that's how I know that that's a passion of mine, and that's how I know that I'm going to continue to give it all I have. The second that I don't value that, and I don't see the gratification of me helping someone else, then the day that I need to go, find another profession.
Yeah.
But I don't see that happening because I value it so much, and I understand how important it is, because when I was struggling, I didn't make those decisions, and I could have changed, playing the coulda, woulda, shoulda game, right? But looking back on it, if I would have done a little bit more, or had the forge, or been able to be more vocal about my struggles, I could have changed quicker, right? Understanding that reality is reality, and I can't change the past. What I can do is help others not get to that point where I was at.
You've changed your life, and you're working to change other lives, and you have an amazing partner to do it with. I have to think, just go back a little bit. You're with your squad mates, and I don't know if Green Berets hump all that much, but it's kind of hard to sit there and think, man, my feet hurt, these boots stink, when a guy with one leg is right there with you the whole time. This is a different kind of person to work with, isn't it, Ben?
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
Right? It gives you some motivation, and that's what he does each and every time. That's what Nick does each and every time he talks and he engages with people, either on the forge or not. Is you see, his story, and you see what he's doing now. Like, well, okay, I can do that, right? If he can do that, having the odds against him, guess what? I can do that, or I can emulate some of the things he's doing, right? Because again, he's a massive guy, so lifting a lot of heavy weights, maybe not, right? But you can definitely implement his philosophy or his mentality towards life and how he approaches each and every day.
Well, winding this down though, but that brings up another thing. Like, a lot of what we did in the military and success I've had out here is that aspect of taking these big problems and challenges and breaking them down into smaller challenges, and then asking for help when I need it. So how do you get somebody in the forge, out of the forge, to look at problems in terms of small, maybe, pun intended, precise components to get a solution?
Yeah, it's difficult, right? A problem or an issue that an individual has is important to them, right? It's massively important to them. That is their life. They eat, sleep, breathe that, right? So that is hard to be able to have that empathy, to put yourself in their shoes, to understand what they're going through, and then being able to break that down, to look at it into smaller victories, and to see smaller and strategize different and prioritize all these different concerns or problems that person may perceive they have. One, it starts with the individual itself, the end user. That person needs to say, yes, I'm willing to learn, I'm willing to listen. I don't have it all, I don't have all the answers. You may not have all the answers, but we can get it together. We can communicate, collaborate together. That's the first step, right? You have to admit, for me, I needed to admit that I had a problem with my unhealthy behaviors before change could ensue. If I never thought I had a problem, I would never change.
Yeah.
So, and problems, it might be a harsher word, right? Problem, like, maybe a concern, maybe an unhealthy behavior, maybe something that you want to change, or your goal, or you look at someone, you're like, I want that. Well, okay, we can get there through you, but it starts with you. And at the end of the day, once that person has the willingness to put in the effort, willingness to be uncomfortable, the willingness to change, then now you're along with them, and you're like, hey, let's walk through it together. And guess what? Our feet will hurt, our socks will stink, but guess what? They'll stink together. And then and as we continue to move forward, we'll see the fruits of that labor.
For sure. For sure. So in December, you launched the corporate outreach for Precision Components. Nick got that going. But as we go into 2025, is it just, doing more corporate outreach, or are there other goals that you all are trying to move towards as a unit?
Yeah. I'm sure Nick is a visionary, and Nick's been doing this for a long time. And I'm sure he has, as a warrant and a planner, I'm sure he has a 1 year, 3, 5 year plan moving forward. And all I know is once I've found someone who I respect as a leader, it's very easy to follow and trust that individual. And that's what I do with Nick is he has that vision, and he's like, hey, I think we should do this, or I think you should go, do this speaking engagement. All right, Nick, let's do it. I trust you. I trust your leadership abilities. I trust your philosophy of teamwork is stronger than independent work. So I don't know exactly what he has in plan, but I know that he's on a mission to help as many people and change as many lives as he can. And he has done tremendous work so far. And whatever he needs from me to continue to help, I definitely will.
It's just been amazing seeing this arc take place, understanding that you started at a very high level in the Army, had issues, addressed those issues, went through the work and the sacrifice and the grind to, heal yourself. You're healing other people now, and now you're part of a larger group. And, again, this is why I just didn't want to fit this into 1 hour. And what a great way to start off the new year for this show, to be able to sit there and say, hey, veterans all the time telling me, well, how do I, be part of the community? How do I add value? How do I do this? Do relationships really work? And look, ladies and gentlemen, you got the blueprint right here. Like you can listen to Ben, you can check out, the Forge and Nick, and understand that you can do it. It does work. You can add value. So, I just want to thank you so much for, doing these and coming on and sharing with us, because I think there's just a lot of valuable insight here on how to, do and be of purpose.
Yeah. And it's not easy, right? The
I'm glad you
struggles,
said
the
that. I'm
things that
glad
I've
you said
overcame.
that it's not easy. Yeah. Yeah. Now,
No,
why is it not easy?
it's not. There's a lot of, there's a lot of struggles in place. I struggle a lot. Like there's times when I, self-doubt that I used to have, right? There's times that, I wish things would be easier. I wish things would have been different. There's times where I look back at my military career and I'm like, oh, I could have done that, or I wish I would have done that. There's all those times. But what I do know is if you catch that early, that negative thinking, or those resentments or those regrets, if you catch it early and change that quickly, then you are going to not be stuck in this mindset. Growth is difficult. Change is hard, but it's worth it. If you are motivated and dedicated and you don't like where you're at right at this moment, why not? Perfect time. January 2nd, 2025, perfect time to sit there and be like, you know what? I'm not going to, I don't believe in New Year's resolution because 365 days is a long time. Break it into 12 segments. This month, I'm going to focus on this for myself. This week. If you have to break it down this day, but know that once you start doing that, it's going to become easier. But it's not easy, and there's difficulties and there's hurdles within the journey. But at the end of the day, it's worth it.
For sure. Well, Ben, I hope to meet you in person one day. It'd be really cool.
Yes.
And I wish you all the best starting 2025. You certainly closed out 2024 on a good note. And again, it's just the reason that we're here is to show people that no matter where you are in life, you can start, you can rebuild your life, and you can add value and have purpose, whether you're serving the military, active duty, or not. So, folks, it's all right here. I will have the website is Team Mike Charlie Hotel Nancy.com. MCHN, Team MCHN. I'll have it in the Oscar Mike Radio show post, and I will have Nick's links too, and Ben's links, so you can just check it all out. And I'm also going to put in the links to show 1 through 3, so you can get the idea of who Ben is and why we did this over 4 shows. And this is a lot for Ben. It's not easy to be locked in for 4.5 hours, but Ben, you absolutely crushed it. You're great. So I hope you got some value. Yeah, I hope you got some value out of this. I had a great time talking with you. And like I said, I'm looking forward to shaking your hand in person someday.
Yes, sir. I look forward to it as well.
Well, my name is Travis with Oscar Mike Radio. I have Ben Monette from Resilience Recon Consulting, Treehouse Recovery, Green Beret, with The Forge, with Nick Lavery. Check it all out. And as we say in Oscar Mike Radio, we're mission in flight. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load Co-Sinista One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.